Joe, let's tell my audience where we're located. Geographically, we are where?
We are on International Drive in Orlando, Florida.
All right, and this is, of course, Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Believe it or not, yep.
Okay, now, if you've seen the TV show, have you seen everything? Not really.
Not really, but if you love the TV show, you'll love what we have inside here. We've got 16 galleries filled with all kinds of odd, unusual, bizarre artifacts, memorabilia. Robert Ripley inspired the whole Ripley's Believe It or Not phenomenon, and he actually started off as a cartoonist. And back in his day, he had a daily comic strip that was syndicated in newspapers around the country and around the world, and in fact it still is to this day. They have cartoonists on staff that have carried on that legacy. And Robert Ripley, to find inspiration for his comic strip, started traveling around the world looking for odd, unusual things to draw for Believe It or Not. And throughout his travels, he visited a total of 198 countries, and this was in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. So if you imagine back in that time, travel was not what it is today, where you just get on a flight and go non-stop somewhere. He traveled to some remote areas of the world by boat, by foot, by horseback, and he was fascinated with different cultures, with different tribal things, with the Orient, with South America. So I mean, there's all kinds of things from around the world inside our museum.
And the museum itself is odd. We go down the road and you say, where is Ripley's Believe It or Not? It's the only building that is not straight.
Well, absolutely. Robert Ripley was real big on optical illusions, and oftentimes in his comic strip, he would draw a picture that was, if you look at it one way, it looks like one thing, and if you look at it another way, it looks like another thing. And they've kind of incorporated this into the design of a lot of the Believe It or Not museums. Now, here in Florida, we have a phenomenon called sinkholes. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but because we're a peninsula surrounded by water, oftentimes the ground will kind of open up and swallow up a building. So that's the illusion that our building is designed to recreate, is a Florida sinkhole. It looks like we're sliding into the ground here. So now, it's definitely a hook. As you're driving down International Drive, the building definitely catches your attention, and I'm told that it is one of the most photographed buildings in Orlando.
Very good. Now, people are hearing this water in the background, and I'm going to show them some pictures of what the water is. Okay. Tell us about that.
That is part of the sinkhole.
Okay. And you, what did you do? You kind of made it into a fountain at the same time.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. So again, to kind of catch their attention, and if they like what's outside, they're going to definitely want to come on inside and see what we've got indoors for them.
How long has this museum been here in Orlando?
We opened here in Orlando in 1992, so this museum's been open for 15 years.
And you mentioned museums, so there are several of them.
Yes, Ripley Entertainment has museums worldwide. I believe there's close to about 30, Believe It or Not, museums, and then there are also Ripley aquariums, Ripley haunted attractions, Ripley moving theaters. They've got mini golf courses, so there's all different concepts. In total, they've got close to 50 attractions worldwide. The Believe It or Not, like I said, ours has been here for 15 years. The original opened in 1950 in St. Augustine here in Florida. And although there are multiple museums worldwide, no two are exactly alike. Each museum is about 80% unique, with one-of-a-kind artifacts that you won't see in any other Believe It or Not. In fact, many of our items were acquired directly by Robert Ripley, and the corporate headquarters has a team of people who to this day still acquire new, odd, unusual, bizarre things to display.
I was going to ask you that, if Ripley's passion has been continued.
Absolutely. Ripley Entertainment has their corporate headquarters here in Orlando, so we do see some of the corporate folks pretty frequently here at our museum, and they are, like I said, constantly on the quest to find more odd, bizarre, unusual stuff to keep the public fascinated.
So are you saying then, Joe, that people could come back here and see additional items added to the museum?
From time to time we do get some new items, yeah. It's not a complete revamping, but you know, it's the type of thing that it is a self-guided, self-paced tour, so you take your time going through the museum. We recommend that you allow about an hour and a half to go through, through. However, if you're in a hurry, you can do a quick run through in about an hour. If you're really fascinated by everything and you want to take the time to look at items in detail, we have people who sometimes spend several hours here.
Mm-hmm. Now, this museum, is this the same size it was when it began, or have you added over the years?
For this location, the square footage is the same, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there are things that would be added from time to time.
Correct. There have been some revamping of some of the exhibits. We do have 16 galleries, and like I said, it's self-guided, self-paced. It's a set route that you follow as you make your way from one gallery into the next. We're all on one level, so it's completely accessible for wheelchairs, and it's also great for families, kids. It's real easy to keep everybody together because they just follow a set course as they go from one gallery into the next.
Okay, you mentioned galleries, Joe. What are they comprised of?
They are themed. We have, for instance, our illusions gallery, where you see some of those optical illusions that I was telling you about. We have a primitive gallery where we see some tribal things that are on display from different parts of the world. We have an exhibit called Bigs and Littles, which has either extremely small items or extremely large items. We have the world's smallest Bible. We have the world's tallest man. So you can stand next to a replica of the tallest man in recorded history, Robert Wadlow, who stood at just under 9 feet tall. He was 8'11". So you can stand next to a statue of him. There's a video that plays that gives you kind of a little bit of history of his life and some of the challenges that he faced. And there are even footprints on the floor where you can compare your foot to the size of his. So that's a lot of fun. We have animal oddities, which has things such as a two-headed calf. We have human oddities, where we have wax figures of a man who had 2 pupils in each eye. Things like that. Some very unusual items.
Do people ever give you a call and say, "Hey, I've got a real odd one for you"?
We do. We do get those. We have some strange things that happen. I had a lady turn up one time who said that she had a kitten that was born that had 2 faces on one head. And I said, "Oh, well, that's pretty fascinating." And she said, "Would you like to see it?" And she had this live kitten in her purse with her.
Wow.
And anything like that, of course, we refer to the Ripley corporate headquarters because they're the ones who actually acquire the items. But yeah, we get some strange calls and some unusual things, and there are some things that they definitely follow up on and that they are of interest to corporate headquarters in order to acquire for the collection.
Well, Joe, if someone wants additional information on this Ripley's Believe It or Not, where can they find that?
They can find us online at ripleyorlando.com, or they can call us at 407-345-0501.